and welcome back to the Dutch Peon. Today we're actually going to start installing our French drain. We actually have gotten to the point where we got the pit dug for the brick path, as well as the pit dug here all the way down to there for the French drain. Before we can start working on the brick path, we have to install the French drain. The way we're actually going to do that is simply just filling this hole up technically with rock and the pipe that's going to be actually used for the French drain. We did make sure that our bottom is at a very gentle slope all the way down, so the water will run from this side all the way underneath the path to the other side, and hopefully get rid of the puddling that's been happening underneath this gate, and also continuing to have our gate stay wide open instead of where it was before we started this project. For this part of the project, you're going to need a 4-inch vented drainage pipe, 2 caps, landscaping fabric spikes or long nails, paper, pencil, razor knife, level, tape measure, your shovel, drainage field rock, a drill, and drill bits. And of course, work gloves are always helpful. So the first thing we're going to do is actually take our end caps and then drill some holes through them in order to vent the water out of it. The whole point of the French drain is to move the water through the pipe, and then if you have these caps as is, they're going to stop the water from going any further. So we're going to actually drill some vent holes all around it, and there is no rhyme or reason for it. You just want enough holes to let the water out without, destroying the integrity of the cap. To do that, I've got my drill, and I've got a 15/64 drill bit on it, and we're just going to take that and just punch these things with a whole bunch of holes. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got a whole bunch of holes now drilled in our cap. There is no rhyme or reason to this. The whole point is just to drain water out of it. You don't want it on the sides, because this is the part that actually is going to grip onto the pipe. And if you actually start drilling holes into there, you might actually make it so it doesn't stay on anymore. So you want to do that to the other one as well. And one is to let the water out, and the other one is to let the water in. So for the second one, we're going to do the exact same thing. These caps and pipe can actually be found at pretty much any hardware store. You just want to make sure that you get the correct pipe. There is a drainage pipe without vents and one with vents. So make sure you get the one with the vents. Okay, and that's our 2 caps. So the next thing we're going to do is actually prepare the pipe itself. If you can look very closely, you can see there's little tiny slits along this pipe, and that's the venting. That will actually allow the water to drain into the pipe and drain out of the pipe as the water moves through it. These pipes are actually designed to continue on, but we're only going to use one of these pipes for our drain. So we're going to actually cut this section off, which is the part that would connect to the other end of the next piece. To do that, you just take your razor knife, dig the knife into the cut, and then just slice it around. It cuts very easily. There isn't much work to it. And as you can see, this part just comes right off, and now we're back to our 4-inch length. These caps then will just screw right onto it so they don't come off. It makes it very easy and very quick. So that's the one side of our pipe finished. And the other side of our pipe is right here. We're going to attach the cap the same way. It just fits right on and then screws right into place with those pieces of plastic on the inside. You do have to give it a little bit of push to get over the first one, and now it's gripped on there as well. So this is now our pipe ready to go into the ground. Now we're actually ready to start installing our French drain. The first thing you're going to need is your landscape fabric and your landscape fabric spikes or the long nails. The long nails or landscape spikes are to hold the fabric down. This is actually 3-foot wide fabric that we're going to put in this hole. That should give you enough fabric to put in there and still wrap it around. Again, we're going to have 12 inches of stone on this fabric. Now the whole point of this fabric is to keep dirt and debris from getting into the pipe and clogging it. So the water will go through the fabric, but the dirt and debris will stop it. So the first thing we're going to do is just lay this out over the hole. It should go down the entire length, and I have about 9 feet here, 9 or 10. When laying this fabric out, I'm actually going 2 feet beyond the hole, and that's to put some fabric on the end of the hole and still have enough to fold over on top of it as well. So once I have this entire thing laid out, the next thing is just pushing it down, keeping it even on both sides, and then putting in spikes to hold it in place. So again, the first thing we're going to do is just push it in there all the way down to the bottom, trying to keep it even on both sides. Now the fabric is actually going to disappear into the hole because it is so deep at the moment. We just have to do our best to keep it where we need it to be. Again, for that, I'm going to use my landscape spikes. I'm not going to put them in all the way this at first, just because I want to make sure I have the correct spacing and placement before I actually do. It gets a little bit more difficult on the end to see what I'm doing. Always check the bottom, make sure that the fabric is not going to hang there when the stone goes in. So even a little bit extra in the bottom there is helpful. Now we actually have our fabric in there, placed down there, where our next step is to put the stone in.